My newborn baby was only 9 days old, sleeping peacefully in her carrier, wrapped in a tiny pink blanket. We were standing in our front yard, getting ready to take her to her first doctor's checkup. Then Karen showed up, our furious HOA president, in her bright red jacket and her usual anger, stormed across the lawn shouting, "You can't leave baby equipment on the sidewalk. This is an HOA violation." I tried to explain, "Karen, it's not equipment. It's my daughter. She's 9 days old." But Karen didn't care. She never did. She marched right up to the carrier, pulled a yellow taser from her bag and screamed, "Then move IT or I will." Before I could reach her, she jabbed the taser forward, sparks flashing, electricity crackling inches from my newborn's blanket. My baby woke up and began to cry, a tiny helpless sound that made my heart stop. Karen laughed. "That'll teach you people to follow the rules." She had no idea. The newborn she just threatened with a taser, the tiny baby she tried to punish over an HOA rule, was the police chief's daughter. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me where you were watching from. And please hit subscribe for more stories where the good guys always win. My newborn baby was only 9 days old, sleeping peacefully in her tiny carrier on the front lawn. She was wrapped in a soft pink blanket, her little fingers curled like flower petals, her breath slow and gentle. We were simply getting ready to take her to her first doctor's checkup. The morning was calm, birds chirped, the air smelled of jasmine. For once everything felt peaceful. Then Karen showed up. Karen, our furious HOA president, stormed out of her house like a tornado wrapped in a bright red jacket. She marched across the sidewalk, clutching a thick clipboard, her heels clacking like an alarm. "You can't leave baby equipment on the sidewalk," she barked, her voice shaking the quiet morning. "This is a clear HOA violation." I blinked at her, stunned. "Karen, it's not equipment, it's my daughter. She's 9 days old." Karen didn't look at the baby. She didn't soften. She didn't even blink. Instead, she leaned in, hands on her hips. "Well, she shouldn't be sitting here. Strollers and carriers block the walkway. I've told you all already. No clutter." My wife stepped beside me. "She's a newborn. We're just putting her in the car." But Karen waved her hand like she was swatting a fly. "No excuses. Rules are rules. If you want to raise a child in this neighborhood, you follow my standards." I felt my jaw tighten. "Karen, calm down. There's nothing wrong here." She narrowed her eyes. "Oh, really? Then move IT. I don't care what's in the carrier." And then it happened. The moment that changed everything. Karen reached into her oversized red purse, pulled out a bright yellow taser, and clicked it on. A crackling spark lit up the metal prongs. Loud, sharp, dangerous. My wife gasped, "Karen, stop!" But Karen stepped forward anyway. "If you won't move this thing," she snapped, "then I will." Before I could grab her, she jabbed the taser downward, stopping just inches away from the carrier. Electric sparks danced dangerously close to the soft pink blanket. My newborn daughter jolted awake in terror. Her little face scrunched up, and she began crying. Loud, panicked cries that pierced my heart. My wife screamed, "You're scaring her!" Karen laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, please. Babies cry at everything. She'll survive. Maybe this will teach you people to follow the HOA rules for once." My hands tightened into fists. I took a step forward, voice shaking with fury. "Karen, turn that off." But she didn't. She clicked the taser again, another burst of crackling electricity, and held it threateningly above the carrier like she had all the authority in the world. "You know what?" She spat. "If you don't want me to move this thing with force, then you better move it in the next 3 seconds. My newborn's cries grew louder, sharp and frightened. My wife bent down, trying desperately to soothe her, hands trembling. "Shh, shh. Mommy's here. You're okay," she whispered, but even her voice shook with fear. Karen crouched down, her face inches from the crying baby. "This is what happens when people break the rules," she snarled. A wave of rage washed over me. No one talks like that to an innocent 9-day-old child. "You're threatening a baby," I said quietly, dangerously. Karen shrugged like it was the most normal thing in the world. "She's in my way, and I'm tired of being ignored." The neighbors began peeking out their windows. One woman stepped outside and froze when she saw the taser. "Oh my God. Karen, what are you doing?" she yelled. But Karen only lifted her chin proudly. "This is HOA enforcement." Somewhere inside me, something snapped. I started running toward her. She turned, confused at first, but when I pulled back my jacket and she saw the badge clipped at my belt, everything in her face changed. Her smirk vanished, her eyes widened, her hands trembled. The taser wavered. You're, she stuttered. I'm the police chief, I said. The words hit her harder than any punch could. Color drained from her cheeks. Her mouth fell open. Her bravado collapsed in an instant. I didn't know, she stammered. I swear I didn't know she was your baby. You shouldn't need to know, I growled. You never threaten a child. Karen stumbled back, shaking, the taser suddenly looking too heavy for her hand. She understood now. She understood everything too late, because the newborn she had just threatened, the tiny baby she'd nearly shocked in her own front yard, was the police chief's daughter. And I was only getting started. I sprinted toward Karen, my heart pounding so hard I couldn't hear anything except the sharp, panicked cries coming from my newborn daughter. Those cries were tiny, but they hit me like thunder. My wife rushed behind me, panic spreading across her face like wildfire. Karen, stop! My wife shouted, voice cracking. You're scaring her! But Karen didn't even flinch. She didn't soften. She didn't hesitate. Instead, she rolled her eyes dramatically, like we were the problem. Oh, please, Karen scoffed. Babies cry for everything. She'll be fine. Maybe this will teach you two to follow the HOA rules next time. She's 9 days old. My wife cried, her voice shaking with a mix of fear and disbelief. Karen waved the taser again, sparks crackling dangerously in the morning air. She held the weapon like it was a toy she used for fun, not something that could terrify an infant. And 9 days is plenty of time to learn the rules of this neighborhood, she yelled. I'm tired of you people acting like you own the place. I leaned over the baby carrier, shielding my daughter with my body. The sparks from Karen's taser were still fizzing. My jaw tightened so hard it hurt. Put the taser away, I said slowly, each word shaking with low, controlled anger. Karen planted a hand on her hip. Or what? She snapped. You'll complain to the board? I am the board. The arrogance in her voice was unbelievable. But before I could respond, a door slammed nearby. Neighbors started stepping out of their houses. First one, then 3, then 6. Heads poked over fences. Curtains swung open. A few gasps rippled through the crowd as soon as they saw the taser. Oh my God, someone whispered. Is Karen serious? She's lost her mind. A neighbor across the street lifted their phone and began recording. Karen spun around instantly. Stop recording, she shrieked. This is official HOA business. But no one listened. They kept recording. Some even stepped closer for a better angle. My newborn's cries grew louder, turning into sharp little sobs, her fists clenched tightly, her tiny chest rising and falling too quickly. My wife dropped to her knees beside the carrier, gently touching our daughter's cheek. You're okay. Mommy's here, she whispered, trying to calm her even as her own hands trembled. But Karen wasn't finished. Move that stroller now, Karen barked, or I'll drag it myself. This is blocking the walkway. You're threatening an infant, I snapped, my voice louder now. Karen smirked, actually smirked. I'm disciplining irresponsible parents, she said proudly. This is my neighborhood, the neighbors audibly gasped. One shouted, You can't discipline a baby. Another yelled, Karen, put the taser down. But Karen just held the taser up like a trophy. You people never listen. You leave decorations out too long. You paint your doors the wrong color. You use non-approved trash cans. And now this, she said, pointing at the baby carrier. I'm done being nice. I will enforce the rules. You've never been nice, someone yelled back. A few neighbors stepped closer, forming a small protective half-circle around us. Karen, that's a newborn, an elderly woman said gently. You need to calm down. Karen snapped around. Don't tell me to calm down. If they would follow the rules, none of this would be happening. The baby let out a painful wail, a sound that sliced right into my chest. I reached down and gently placed my hand on her tiny chest, trying to soothe her the way I had watched nurses do in the hospital. My wife looked up at me with tears in her eyes. She's terrified, she whispered. She was just sleeping. Why would someone do this? Karen overheard her and scoffed. She'll live. Toughen her up early. The neighbors erupted. What? She's just a baby. Karen, you're insane. Karen held the taser even higher, as if to prove she still controlled everything. This is my neighborhood. she declared, her voice shaking with fanatic self-importance. "And you people will do exactly what I say." She still didn't know who she was screaming at. She didn't know why the neighbors' faces were slowly shifting from anger to shock. She didn't know that I was moments away from ending this insanity, but she was about to. I adjusted my jacket, and the movement revealed the badge clipped underneath. A few neighbors noticed first. "Oh my God," someone whispered. "He's a cop. No, look at the badge. He's not just a cop." Karen didn't see it yet. She was still ranting. "You all need me. Without me, this place would fall apart. And then she turned toward me again. Her eyes drifted downward. She saw the badge. She blinked, stopped mid-sentence. Her face drained of color, fast. She stared, unblinking, at the gold badge glinting under the sunlight. Her mouth fell open. You're, she whispered. I took one slow step toward her. "I'm the police chief," I said calmly. The taser in Karen's hand suddenly felt very heavy. Her grip loosened. Her face went from enraged to pale and terrified in a heartbeat. I didn't know," she stuttered. "I swear I didn't know she was your baby." "You shouldn't need to know," I said, my voice low and steady. "You never point a weapon near a child, not any child." My wife hugged our baby close, still shaking. Neighbors stepped toward Karen now, no longer scared. Karen stumbled backward. Her entire world had just crashed around her, and she knew it. She had finally crossed the one line she never should have crossed, because the tiny newborn she threatened with a taser was the police chief's daughter. And in that moment, Karen understood that she had made the biggest mistake of her life. Karen stood there with the taser still trembling in her hand, sparks flickering weakly at the tips. My newborn's crying echoed across the street, tiny, frightened, heartbreaking. My wife stayed crouched over the carrier, trying to soothe her with shaking hands, whispering, "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here. You're safe." But Karen was far from done. She straightened her back, lifted her chin, and snapped at the crowd forming around us. "Everyone back up. This is HOA business," she shouted, waving the taser like a warning flag. "You all break the rules every day, and I'm sick of it." Neighbors exchanged horrified looks. Then Mrs. Patel, the sweetest elderly woman on the street, marched forward with surprising courage. "Karen, have you lost your mind?" she yelled. "That's a newborn baby. Put that thing down." Karen scoffed. "Oh, please, I didn't touch her. The taser was near her, not on her." "Don't be dramatic. That's still dangerous," a man shouted from his porch. Another neighbor nodded. "You don't bring a weapon anywhere near a baby." But Karen tightened her grip on the taser and shouted back, furious. "You people never listen. Parking rules, lawn rules, paint colors, all ignored. I'm done being nice. You've never been nice," someone yelled from the back. Karen's head snapped toward them. "I control this neighborhood," she screamed, pointing the taser upward like a demented queen holding a scepter. "And if parents won't follow rules, then maybe they don't deserve to raise kids here." A gasp rippled through the crowd. My wife stood slowly, her face pale with shock. She's holding a taser near a newborn. "And she thinks that's control?" she whispered to me. Karen heard her and laughed, a high, sharp, unsettling laugh. "I keep order around here," she shouted. "Without me, this place would fall apart. I can fine you, report you, and remove you." Remove who? A 9-day-old baby?" a teenager snapped. "You've finally lost it." Another neighbor added, "You're not enforcing rules, Karen. You're dangerous." For the first time, Karen's confidence wavered. Just a tiny crack, but a crack all the same. Her eyes flicked across the angry faces gathering around her. Phones recording, arms crossed, people stepping onto their lawns to get a closer look. She wasn't feared anymore. She was exposed. But Karen wasn't someone who backed down gracefully. She jabbed the taser forward again, sparks shooting out. "Stop exaggerating," she snapped. "It's not even turned up high. I wasn't going to actually hurt the brat. I just wanted the parents to listen." The street exploded in outrage. "Brat? She's a newborn. What is wrong with you? Karen, this is too far." My wife shouted, "That doesn't matter. You terrified our baby." Karen spun around to glare at her, and that's when she finally saw it. The badge, the gold badge clipped at my waist. She froze, mid-turn, mid-breath, mid-scream, her eyes locked onto it like she'd just seen a ghost. Her voice cracked into a tiny whisper. "You're police?" I took one slow, controlled step forward. "I'm the police chief." Silence spread across the street like a shock wave. Karen's jaw fell open. Her hand trembled violently, the taser lowering without her meaning to. The neighbors all stared at me, then at her, realization spreading from face to face like wildfire. Karen took a shaky step back. But, you didn't say that, she stuttered. You didn't warn me. If I had known. You shouldn't need to know, I said. You never aim a weapon near a child. Any child. Karen swallowed hard, eyes darting around as if looking for someone to defend her. But no one moved. No one spoke up for her. No one even blinked. Okay, I didn't mean it, she said, laughing nervously as she tried to hide her fear. It was just a scare tactic. I wasn't going to do anything. That's not a defense, a neighbor muttered. That's a confession. Karen shot them a glare, but her voice shook. I'm the HOA president. I'm allowed to enforce rules. You all know that. No rule allows you to threaten a newborn, I said, my voice growing colder. Karen clutched the taser like a lifeline. You're twisting this. I'm trying to help this community. By now, half the street stood outside. Kids clung to their parents. People whispered in disbelief. More phones recorded her meltdown. And Karen knew it. Her smile wavered again. Her legs shook. She looked at the crying newborn, then at me, then at the angry wall of neighbors surrounding her. Her voice collapsed into a whisper. Oh no, I've made a mistake. I didn't know. I took another step toward her. You crossed a line, I said. A line no civilized person crosses. Karen stumbled back so fast she almost tripped over her own feet. I didn't mean it. I swear. I didn't know she was your baby. You shouldn't need to know who she belongs to, I replied. She's a human being, a defenseless newborn. And you put fear into her first week of life. Karen covered her mouth, breathing fast, her eyes watering. The neighbors watched her unravel. One whispered, She's finally facing consequences. Another said, About time. Karen clutched her chest, looking like her entire world was collapsing. I didn't think it would go this far, she whispered, shaking. I looked down at my daughter, now calmer in my wife's arms, hiccuping softly, still scared but safe, then back at Karen. It already has, I said, and Karen knew it. She knew she had gone farther than she could ever take back, because the newborn she tried to intimidate with a taser, the tiny baby she put fear into, was the police chief's daughter, and the neighborhood had just turned against her, completely. Karen stumbled backward the moment she saw my badge, almost twisting her ankle on the curb. Her face turned white, the arrogant smirk gone, replaced by pure confusion and fear. The taser in her hand trembled violently, sparks flickering weakly at the ends. Wait, I didn't know she was your daughter, she stammered. Her voice shook like she was freezing in the summer heat. I didn't know, I wouldn't have, I didn't mean, I stepped closer, my voice calm but sharp as glass. You shouldn't need to know, I said. You never point a weapon near a child, not mine, not anyone's. Karen gasped like I had slapped her. No, you're twisting this, she screamed. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. The baby wasn't touched. It was just a warning. My wife clutched our newborn tighter, tears streaming down her cheeks. You terrified her, she whispered painfully. She's 9 days old. She doesn't understand what a taser is. She just felt fear. Karen pressed her shaking hand against her chest. I didn't think it would go this far, she whispered. But the neighbors weren't buying a single word. They crossed their arms, forming a wall around us. You always go too far. You scare people all the time. You act like you're queen of the neighborhood. Karen flinched at each sentence, backing up until her shoulders hit a mailbox. No! Stop! Karen shouted, covering her ears like a child throwing a tantrum. Everyone stop! I was just doing my job. That's not a job, someone said coldly. That's bullying. Karen's hands shook even more. Sweat dripped down her forehead. She looked around frantically, searching for one single friendly face in the crowd. But there were none. The people she'd fined, yelled at, humiliated, and controlled for years were done. Completely done. She took another shaky step backward, her heel slipping on a pebble. She grabbed a fence post to keep from falling. I can fix this, she whispered. We can all calm down. We can talk about this. But no one spoke. No one moved. The only sound was my newborn's soft hiccups after crying so long. Karen held out her hands desperately. Guys, please. I didn't mean to scare the baby. I just wanted them to move the stroller. A teenager snapped. It's not a stroller. It's a newborn. Karen shook her head violently. I know that now. But how was I supposed to know when they leave things everywhere? You all clutter the sidewalks. It's my duty to... My voice cut through hers. You pointed a live taser at a defenseless infant, I said. Calm, slow, heavy. Karen's knees buckled. I didn't think, she whispered again. You never think, someone said. You only threaten, you control, you scare people, and now you scared a baby. Those words hit Karen harder than anything else. Her eyes filled with tears. Not sadness, fear. She suddenly looked like someone drowning. Please, she whispered. Please, don't call the police. But as if the world wanted to answer her, sirens echoed down the street, loud, sharp, getting closer. Karen froze. Her eyes went wide. Her breathing became shallow and rapid, like she was drowning in air. Her hands dropped to her sides, the taser dangling uselessly. Are they coming for me? She whispered, trembling from head to toe. A few neighbors nodded. Yes, finally. You crossed the line. Karen shook her head wildly, tears spilling. No. This can't be happening. Not to me. I'm the HOA president. You all need me. No, someone said. We really don't. Karen turned to me, her face crumbling into fear. Chief, please. I didn't know she was your baby. You shouldn't need to know, I repeated. You should care because she's a baby. A human being. Not a rule violation. Karen's voice cracked like glass. I wasn't going to actually shock her, she cried. It was just a threat. Just intimidation. I stared at her. Threatening an infant is a crime. Her jaw quivered. I didn't mean IT, she shrieked. It wasn't serious. You clicked the taser twice, a neighbor interrupted. You aimed it at the blanket. It was serious. I made a mistake, Karen whispered, burying her face in her hands. That's not a mistake, my wife said softly. That's cruelty. Karen looked at her, eyes red and wild. I'm sorry, she cried. Please believe me. I didn't want to hurt her. My wife hugged our newborn closer. You already did. Karen sobbed harder. No, please, I can't be arrested. I can't. Blue and red lights lit up the street. Police cars turned the corner. Neighbors stepped aside, making a path. Karen sank to the ground, knees hitting the pavement. Her entire body shook. Her voice was barely a breath. Oh no. I'm going to jail. She buried her face in her hands and cried. The sirens grew louder. The cars stopped. Doors opened, and reality crashed down on her completely. Because she finally understood. Threatening a newborn was not a rule dispute. It was a crime. And the father she had screamed at was the police chief. Karen's reign of terror was seconds away from ending forever. The moment the police sirens echoed down the neighborhood, the crowd went still, completely still. Even my newborn, curled against my wife's chest, quieted for a moment, as if sensing that something huge was about to happen. Blue and red lights washed across the street, flashing, growing brighter, getting closer. Karen froze like a statue, her arms dropped, her throat bobbed as she swallowed hard. The taser wobbled dangerously in her trembling grip. They're really coming, she whispered. The neighbors stepped aside, forming a path down the middle of the street like they were watching the final scene of a long, exhausting play. 2 patrol cars screeched to a stop. The doors opened. Out stepped officers Ramirez and Lee, 2 of the most experienced on the force. They didn't even need to be told what was happening. The scene spoke for itself, a crying newborn wrapped in a pink blanket, my wife shaking, holding the baby close, neighbors filming and whispering, me standing protectively in front of my family, and Karen, gripping a yellow taser with a petrified face. The officer's eyes locked on the weapon instantly. Officer Ramirez raised his voice, firm and professional. Ma'am, put the taser down. Karen panicked, stepping back like they were monsters coming for her. No, wait, this isn't what it looks like. she cried, shaking so badly the taser nearly slipped from her hand. "This is just a misunderstanding." Officer Lee stepped forward slowly, hands open but eyes sharp. "You pointed a taser near a newborn," he said. "That's not a misunderstanding." Karen cried harder. "I was enforcing HOA rules. They left baby equipment on the walkway. They break rules all the time." Officer Ramirez's jaw tightened. "That doesn't justify threatening a baby." Karen gasped like she'd been punched. "I wasn't threatening her," she screamed. "I was threatening them. I was just trying to scare them." "That's worse," a neighbor shouted. Karen snapped her head toward them. "You stay out of this." But her voice cracked. It didn't hold the same power anymore. Her scream sounded more like a begging child than a dictator. My wife clutched our newborn tightly, whispering soft, soothing words. The baby made tiny, frightened hiccups, pressing her face into her mother's chest. Officer Lee pointed at Karen's trembling hand. "Last warning, put the weapon down." Karen shook her head violently. "No, please, you don't understand. I'm the HOA president. I have authority." "You don't have authority over people's lives," Ramirez said coldly. "Especially not infants." Karen's legs started wobbling. No, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it," she sobbed. "I wasn't going to tase her. I swear on my HOA position." "No one cares about your HOA position," a neighbor muttered. Karen's eyes darted wildly around the crowd. "You're all turning on me. After everything I did for this neighborhood? After all those rule reminders? All my warnings?" "You're bullying," someone corrected. Karen screamed. "IT wasn't bullying. IT was order." Officer Lee's voice turned firm. "Ma'am, drop the weapon." Finally, Karen's strength broke. Her shoulders slumped. Her hand loosened. The taser slipped from her grip, fell to the pavement, and clattered against the asphalt. She stared at it like it was a piece of her soul that had shattered. The officers moved in quickly. They'd seen enough. "Ma'am, turn around," Officer Ramirez said. Karen backed up until she hit the mailbox, shaking her head desperately. No, please. I didn't mean it. I was just trying to keep order. You need me. This neighborhood needs me." Officer Lee grabbed her wrist gently but firmly. "Ma'am, turn around." Karen burst into full sobs. Messy, loud, terrified sobs. "No, please, I can't be arrested. I'm the HOA president. I'm important," Officer Ramirez responded calmly. "You endangered an infant." Karen's knees buckled. Her whole body collapsed as if those words were too heavy for her. No, please. I didn't mean to. I didn't want to hurt the baby. I love this neighborhood. I was trying to help." But the officers already had her turned around. Her bright red HOA jacket crumpled as they placed handcuffs on her wrists, her face streaked with tears. She couldn't stop shaking. The neighbors who had feared her for years now watched quietly, some in relief, some in disbelief, some recording the moment for proof. For the first time since she had taken over the HOA, Karen had no power. Officer Lee gently guided her toward the patrol car. She twisted, crying harder. "Please, I'm not a criminal. I was just trying to enforce the rules. I was just doing my job." Ramirez shook his head. "Threatening a newborn is not a job. It's a crime." Karen sobbed harder, stumbling as they helped her into the back seat. "Please, you can't do this. I didn't know she was the chief's baby." I stepped forward. "You shouldn't need to know," I said. "You should care because she's a baby." Karen's face crumpled. "I'm sorry," she screamed as the door closed. "I didn't mean it. I swear." The door shut with a heavy finality. Karen's voice became muffled behind the glass. The patrol car pulled away slowly, lights still flashing gently, reflecting off the street. And just like that, the woman who terrorized the neighborhood with rules, the woman who screamed at children, fined families, and waved her authority like a sword, the woman who threatened a newborn baby, was gone. For the first time all day, the entire neighborhood exhaled, a long, shared breath of relief. My wife looked at me with tired, watery eyes. "What happens now?" she whispered. I touched my newborn's tiny hand. "Now," I said softly, "we protect her. We breathe. We heal." Behind us, the neighbors slowly walked back to their homes, quieter, calmer, safer. Karen's reign was officially over. When the patrol car turned the corner and disappeared down the street, the entire neighborhood seemed to release one long, exhausted breath. It felt like the moment after a thunderstorm, the air heavy but cleaner, everything shaken but somehow calmer. My wife knelt beside the baby carrier, gently lifting our newborn into her arms. The baby's tiny body trembled with soft hiccups, her earlier cries fading into little whimpers. She buried her face into my wife's chest, searching for warmth and safety. "It's okay, sweetheart," my wife whispered, her voice still shaky. "Mommy's here. You're safe. I've got you." She rocked the baby slowly, gently, lovingly. I crouched beside them and placed a steady hand on both of them, one on my newborn's small back, the other on my wife's trembling shoulder. The sunlight glowed against their silhouettes, warm and gentle, like the world was apologizing for the chaos it had allowed. "She's safe," I said softly. "She's okay. You both are—" My wife lowered her head, a tear slipping down her cheek. She leaned her forehead against mine. "Why would anyone do that to a baby?" she whispered. Her voice cracked, the weight of fear still sitting heavy on her chest. I exhaled slowly. "Because she thought power meant control," I said. But she forgot something important. My wife looked up, eyes swollen from crying. "What?" "That people come before rules. Always." Her grip on our newborn tightened, as if the words helped hold her together. Behind us, neighbors slowly approached, not with fear, not with hesitation, with compassion. Mrs. Patel held out a warm blanket. "Here, wrap her in this." Poor little thing. My wife accepted it gratefully and gently tucked our baby inside, brushing a tiny curl from her forehead. Another neighbor brought a bottle of water and placed it beside us. "You both went through too much today. We're so sorry." A young mother stepped forward next. "She's just a baby. I can't believe Karen did that. None of us will let anything like this happen here again." Even neighbors who barely spoke to each other were suddenly united, gathering around us like a protective shield. A few offered to help clean up the mess Karen left behind. One man quietly lifted the stroller Karen had knocked over and set it upright. Another reattached the diaper bag that had fallen off the handle. The chaos of the morning slowly transformed into a strange but touching moment of community. I looked around the neighborhood. A place Karen had tried to rule with fear. Now it felt different. Softer. Kinder. Stronger. My wife exhaled shakily and sat on the porch step, cradling the baby, humming soft lullabies. I sat next to her, sliding an arm around her shoulders as she leaned into me. The newborn shifted slightly in her blanket and made a small, soft cooing sound, the kind that feels like the tiniest miracle. My wife kissed her head gently. "I was so scared," she whispered. "I thought something horrible would happen." I hugged her closer. "You protected her," I said. "You held her. You kept her safe." "You did too," she replied. "You ran at Karen like the world was on fire." I sighed, rubbing my forehead. "When it comes to you and her, the world is on fire." My wife smiled faintly, the first hint of calm all day. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the street, the neighborhood slowly returned to normal. People went back to their houses, but not without checking on us one last time. "Call us if you need anything," someone said. "We're here," another added. "You're not alone," a neighbor told my wife, squeezing her hand. Their kindness warmed the air. Once the last neighbor disappeared behind their door, my wife rested her head on my shoulder. "What happens next?" "With Karen?" she asked. "She'll face charges," I said quietly, "and the HOA will remove her from her position. She won't be back." My wife closed her eyes and let out a long breath, relief washing over her. "Good," she whispered. "I never want her near our baby again." I nodded. "She won't be—" A gentle breeze rustled the leaves above us. For the first time all day, the sounds of nature returned. A distant bird, the soft sway of branches, the faint rustle of grass. Our baby yawned, tiny lips forming a perfect O. My wife smiled. "She's calm again. I think she knows she's safe now," I said. We sat there together for a long moment, soaking in the quiet after the storm. My wife gently rocked our daughter, humming, and I watched them both with a heart fuller than I'd felt in a long time. Karen was gone. Her chaos was gone. Her power was gone. All that remained was peace, fragile, precious, and ours. I kissed my wife's forehead, then the top of our newborn's head. "She's strong," my wife whispered. just like her dad. No, I said softly. She's strong like you. My wife smiled and placed the baby in my arms so I could hold her. The tiny heartbeat against my chest felt like the purest reminder of what mattered. I looked down at her, wrapped in her blanket, cheeks soft and warm, eyes closed peacefully. Karen had made the biggest mistake of her life, because the newborn she threatened with a taser was the police chief's daughter, and justice always finds those who cross the line. But today, peace found us too.